Nara Wanyanalum. This is hello and welcome everyone, which is Kabi Kabi or Gubbi Gubbi language. So it's the language of the people, the traditional custodians in and around the Noosa Shire, which is obviously where I've come from today. So I want to begin by paying my respects to the Kabi Kabi people, as well as, of course, to the local traditional custodians. I hope I get the pronunciation right. The Baili, Garang Garang, the Gurang, and the Tarablang Bunda. Cool. And I do want to acknowledge their elders, past, present, and future. So today, I'm here to tell you about the time I got a grant. It was an Advanced Queensland Engaging Science grant. So it really was a wonderful opportunity, but unfortunately it was just a really kind of terrible experience overall, mostly. But that's okay, there was some little bits of magic in amongst it all. So I'll take you through plans A through C. Plan C is a mess, but it's the one that worked. So you're probably sensing COVID, and you're very correct, unfortunately. So we did start out very keen. Plan A was looking very good. I was very proud of Plan A. The keen was really captured by Tracy at the start of 2020. It was all just going so well. So full steam ahead with Plan A. And in every iteration that we tried, what we were trying to deliver was Fly for Good, which is a drone program, and Creative 3D, which is 3D print workshops. They were both going to be delivered by contractors. It just all really worked. So the drone program was in 4 parts for teenage girls. So it was a pretty hefty commitment. They had to commit to all 4, but we'd had past success with that kind of model. So we're very confident. Our contractors were on board, good to go. The Creative 3D component, that was much longer time frame. We're going to run it over many months, either individual or 2-part workshops. Again, we'd had success previously. It was all looking really good. The creative focus was designed to bring in those who weren't attracted to the hard tech side of it. So looking at some cosplay stuff. These are biscuit cutters. So trying to attract a bit of a different crowd to our makerspace. And again, all going really well. Contractors ready to deliver. Happy days. We got the announcement that we could, the media embargo had lifted, and then we shut the next week for COVID. So everything got put on hold. Very supportive funding body. They gave us an extension, so we moved on to Plan B. To be honest, even at the time, Plan B didn't feel like a great plan. I wasn't particularly confident in it, but we were in this really difficult space where we didn't know how long our funding body would stay supportive of us. We tried really hard to get something out quickly. So we just basically made Plan A bit more COVID safe. So we contracted it, and it did all feel a little bit less somehow, so we probably shouldn't have been surprised when we booked out our first sort of 3D sessions, but no one showed up, and then we had 1 person book in for the drone workshop. So that was going well, and we moved on to Plan C. This is the saddest photo I could find. It's my dog with an injured paw. I don't think I did actually cry, but I felt like an absolute failure at this point. Like, I know COVID was pretty hectic and nothing was going well, but we have such great success at Noosa with grants, and here I am with my first lead grant opportunity, and I have not delivered anything, but I have comprehensively planned it twice. So, yeah, it wasn't good times, but anyway, that's okay. Luckily, I still had Tracy there with her wisdom, not so much talking about how great the year is anymore. But she did really support me through this and said, let's reframe the thinking, let's look at this as an opportunity to reset, reconfigure, what do you think will work? So on we go to an actual Plan C that we actually started delivering. Fly for Good did get shaken up quite a bit, but luckily our contractors were really keen on that. I think they were just grateful to have employment at this point. We changed it, so it became individual school holiday workshops, very easy with COVID. If they can't attend one, we can replace them quite easily, whereas when they had to originally commit to all 4, that would have been a challenge. We opened up the age range, we let boys come as well. Happy to say we still had some girls attending. Very hands-on as a workshop, but because of COVID, they all got to use their own drone. So fantastic engagement, very strong feedback because there was no sharing, so they loved it. And fantastic to see too, quite a diverse group of kids come through, and we reached a much wider audience with the change. So it actually worked out quite well in the end, to be honest. Creative 3D, we had to play around with the timeline, but that's really easy with the contractor. We just threw in some weekend workshops, which does bring us to a short subplot of trying to work with a young entrepreneur during COVID in a very difficult financial landscape. We tried again and again to make it work, and it didn't. So I am happy to say she did eventually leave because she had full-time employment somewhere else. So we're very happy to support her on in that journey. But there was a period where we were organising sessions around her commute from the Gold Coast. Anyway, so the staff delivered the bulk of the workshops, which is a fantastic professional development opportunity for us. The opportunities just kept coming. So it is amazing, though, what we managed to produce. We did things that weren't even on the cards at the start. Here we are making boom boxes. We bought these kits with the electrical componentry. The kids learnt how to put that together. They personalised their boxes, like the little cases for them. It was a massive success, and we just wouldn't have had a hope of doing that in the first place. The other thing we did is I did a workshop for sewing embellishments, and I had 4 grandmas. Like the average age we worked out was about 72 in the session. They all made stuff that they could use for their sewing. One of the grandmas made a key ring and sent it to her grandson after the lesson because COVID, she couldn't see him. So there was some really magic moments in amongst it all. Here's the grandmas, or some of them, yeah, it was great. So we eventually made it to acquittal time, and I really am proud of what we were able to deliver for our community. Even though as an experience, I just wouldn't rate it at all. Like, it was terrible repeatedly, but it was terrible because of COVID. It wasn't, every single problem we had was COVID related. It wasn't a problem with the grant or our community or not providing something worthwhile. I even came in under budget, which I felt like was an achievement. And so I said, here you go, you can have this money back. And they said, no. And I said, no, please take the money, make it end. And they said, no, definitely not. Yeah. Anyway, so here we are, delivering National Science Week in 2021 after we've done the acquittal to expend the last of the funds. And of course, on the day we launched that, we also had to close. So then it became a take-home program. So I made gloop, the ball didn't bounce like I thought it would, and I got covered in it, but it was all very on brand. Anyway, it was a lot of fun in amongst it all. So at this point, I'm like, thank God it's over. I hope I never even have to think about it again, at which point Tracy's like, yes, look at all those learnings that you took. Perhaps you should talk about it. So I'm very happy to be here today, obviously, sharing all of our learnings. And I learned a lot. And bizarrely, even though I literally had months of sleepless nights over this, I'm very grateful that I had the experience, and I'm very grateful that I was backed. At the time, I was a library assistant trying to fill gaps in my CV to take on a more senior role, and Tracy really backed me, and I wouldn't have made it through without her. I don't quite know if you knew what you were signing up for, but the seize the opportunity mindset that she instilled in me took me from the glorious start through the terrible Badlands through to a finish that I'm actually quite proud of. And throughout that, we adapted at every point. We kind of had to, but we've all done that throughout the COVID period. I think it's just part of our mindset now, and I think it's important that we carry that forward. Staying focused on the community really helped us. kept the momentum up. And bringing on the team, so I felt hopeless when felt like I was alone, but bringing in the team really helped. It's amazing, the ideas that we all came up with, and that we had the opportunity to test some of that stuff out. We wouldn't have done that without the grant. And so, yeah, I did learn my lessons, and I am happy to be here today to share the story. And if I can tell you one thing, and especially to the managers in the room who you might have someone back in your service that you look at and think, let's throw them an opportunity, I do think you should get a grant. And I'm here for the rest of the conference, and there's other bits of that story that are just ridiculous if you want to chat about it. I'm also a good listener. If you have your own horror story, I'd love to hear it. Thank you.